are relevant to that topic in here, we're saying that that statement from you best represents the total statements on that topic. Okay? So, and now if you look as an example at Group B, develop programs with feeder schools that inspire, that came out of the column heading Passion E2, which we think represents best the combination of duplicate kinds of ways of saying the same thing. Now, I want to say to you that not all of them were combined, because some of the statements on this document, the big one, were clearly tactical, great statements, but not strategic. And I don't know if I have a work with employers to increase internships is a great tactic. And it probably will wind up on one of your strategic directions. It should. It's a good idea. But it's a tactic. So it is otherwise eliminated. But the strategic statements as duped, we say Group B's came from Passion E2, and we think that represents best the totality of the ideas around that statement on this document. Now, if you look at the next one, Group C, we're going to ask you to do something here, and that is to combine these two statements. Because in trying to find one that represented the thought process of all the groups, frankly, we couldn't do it in one statement. So, for instance, we took the first one, identify and reduce barriers between partners, P12 family, that statement. That is from Partnership C2 on your 4-page document. And increase the number of high school graduates who are post-secondary ready. That's from Partnerships F1 in this document. And as you notice, those statements are related, but they have different intent, and we did not want to change the words and rewrite them. We're going to ask the group to do it. So you can see that, excuse me, obviously I'm fighting a cold. Similarly, I guess in Group D, we're asking for two statements be combined. You follow me? Because we couldn't find one that we think adequately represented the intents of all the statements on that subject. And what we did not want to do was to take a couple things and try to reword them for fear that somebody would see that their words somehow were missing. So we tried to use your words, but encompass the duplication problem and distill down. You follow? So when you go into your groups this morning, one of the facilitators, I don't know whether, this was all done literally. While you guys were drinking, Sheila and Arnie and I were sitting around trying to get to something here that made sense. We then came down and as we were going down, somebody was going by me going, you're going the wrong direction, we're all leaving. So we did extend the hour a little bit, I must say. I don't want to make it too much of a martyr. But, it was difficult to do. I'm not going to lie to you, okay? However, I think I'm pretty confident that we did it. But we're adding a step to the breakout groups in order to make sure that we did it right. And that is, in each of these groups, we're giving you all the input, and we're giving you our output. The first thing we're asking facilitators to help you do is validate it. So if there's a word or two that you think is missing that's systemically changed, then go ahead and tweak it. What I'm going to ask you to do now, you guys got to bear with me on this, and I'm from Jersey, so I'm going to just adapt and be real blunt. Please don't waste your time wordsmithing. Again, none of us in here are strategic plan writers. I mean, there are people that can do that stuff more efficiently than a committee of 40 folks. Agreed? So, what we're trying to do is honor the work, but not get too hung up in wordsmithing. All right? So, but if there is something that you think in the process we did, we missed something that's significant. For instance, I don't remember them now, and Arnie and Sheila could probably, if we needed to, go tell me exactly what statement. There was a couple statements in here, one of them that talked about diversity. That was a nice statement. Another statement, though, separately and apart from it, talked about closing the achievement gaps, which I remember coming from this side of the room somewhere last night. Well, they're interesting and very related, but they're two different things. They're but I didn't want to rewrite that statement and combine them, so we would have put them together and said, let the group do it. So you might see things like that maybe we missed. If you do, and they're significant, then please feel free to modify slightly these words. But what I don't want you to do is go back to a whiteboard and start writing a lot of new statements, because you know, we've done enough statement writing. It's now about distilling. You follow? And at some point, you have to distill. And it isn't easy, but all our speakers talked about prioritizing. All we're trying to do is prioritize words. We haven't even gotten to the real hard matters yet, and we need to. So enough with the words. We need to narrow. Fair enough? But what I wanted to do, and the reason that we're running long today, and thanks to Sheila and to Ken Ender, Sheila not only agreed to change the schedule, she's already done it on the slide somewhere. I wanted to make sure that we had taken enough time to be totally transparent about what we did, because there's just no way that we could have done it. It's a little messy, but I think it's transparent. So you can see it and you can gut check us, okay? These were your words. These are what we produced. If anybody really wants to know every pathway, here it is. I have the legend in my hand. This is the algorithm, the magical algorithm that got us from this to that, okay? Any questions about what we did, why we did it, or what we're asking you to do as a result? Yes?
This stuff on the screen, will that be on the little drive that we get, or do we need to copy this down?
Yeah, you know, that's a great question. Sheila, I doubt she had a chance to change drives. That's the only new piece. Yeah, I'm hearing the facilitator say the other stuff's right out of our guides, Marge. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. And all Arnie just said, for those who can't hear, he's just saying the only other thing he'd ask is that somewhere in your notes you write the statement right off this sheet so that we're, you know, just help us in terms of keeping track of what you're doing. Okay? Good question. And again, the only reason that task is being added is because there is no way to hide, nor would I care to, the fact that we had to dedupe, and the three of us got together and did, you know, our best efforts to get from here to here. So that's how we did it. And in order to make sure that everybody's comfortable, we want you to have the chance to say, you know, if we did something that we missed, if there's a word, if I missed a clause like the achievement gap, by all means, check us. And we tried to make sure we didn't. Okay? And the only thing I would say is, please, as facilitators and as groups, spend as much time as you need on that to feel secure and to have trust, but not so much that you feel like you're writing a document that's going to be published in the U.S. Constitution, okay? Because that's not what's happening. We're capturing your thoughts. The words themselves are not ready to go to print when you're done today, right? Okay? Any other questions about the process?
This is just really a dumb question, but, you know,
I doubt it.
there were 4 pieces, and now there are 6
Yes.
things.
Why?
Right, but also I'm just kind of wondering, where's path, where's passion, or...
Okay. Yesterday, the good question.
4 to 6.
Good question. Yesterday, or the question was, so that people that couldn't hear. The question is, I'm a little bit concerned or confused. Yesterday there were 4 P's, and now there's 6 things, and what happened to the P's? Okay. Remember yesterday when I said that the P's were more about framing our discussion and a framework from wherein, or a series of envelopes that we could store them in. And I even went so far as to go that quick example where we had one gentleman on one side of the room saying, yeah, that's pathways, and we had Ken Ender saying, no, it's partnerships. And I said, guess what? It doesn't matter, because all these are filing drawers, and they have nothing to do with the material event. Well, in thinking through this, we thought if that we had picked one from one P and one from another P and one from another P, we would have been putting too much emphasis on the P's and in fact have given them more weight than we wanted them to have. So we threw the P's out for the purposes of this because we wanted to get to 4 to 6 themes. So we picked the most responsive 4 to 6 themes across all the P's. The P's will resurface later in terms of our branding and our communications, but they're not important in terms of defining and prioritizing our directions. Does that make sense? Great question. See, it wasn't at all a stupid question. Anything else? Yes?